to begin telling not only the story of through those who have embodied his work and his message, but also through all of you who might be deemed by folks here at Princeton as just ordinary folk. No big titles, no doctors or letters in front or behind your name. Perhaps someone who might not be recognized in the library, at least now, at Princeton University, but myself and students, some of them I'm looking at right now, have made a commitment along with the university and the Office of Religious Life and the Muslim Life Program to begin doing oral histories of many of you in this room. Our hope is that you will be willing to share your stories with our students and myself so that we can begin to document them and that your stories and your names can then be in the library at Princeton University so that researchers in the future, students now, including yourselves, can come to the library and find your stories and begin to share your stories that might seem ordinary to each of us, but seem extraordinary to those who have seen the work that has been established by your community, by your imams, all influenced by Imam W. Deen Mohammed. And so that's our commitment to you, that as we go toward 20 years of honoring this legacy, that we'll be able to include each of you, not just the speakers that we invite, but each of you will become part of this story, part of this narrative that will be housed in the libraries and the archives of Princeton University. We thank you so much again for your time. We'd like to invite Imam Sharif to offer some remarks and to also introduce us to our speaker. We will then allow, after his talk, some time for Q&A, some questions and answers. We'll have some light refreshments served afterwards. We invite you to stay, hang around, be family, get to know each other. Imam Sahib Sultan used to always say, give the salams to those you know and those that you don't know. I hope that we find someone that we don't know and we get to know them this evening. I encourage my students, please look around, students. You are in a sacred place. The stories around you, the people around you, the years of being Muslim and living out their faith is invaluable. So please, I'm saying to my students now, make sure that you try to get to know a few of these folks and invite them also into conversations. Have a lot. We hope that each of us will do that. Thank you so much. We appreciate you again. All of you all in Princeton University. My name, I'm going to introduce myself. This is Imam Abdullah. I'm the Muslim chaplain here at Princeton University. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah, how y'all doing? أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear brothers and sisters, first of all, we thank Allah much for all of you being here. We're grateful for many of you have been coming to this legacy of Imam W. Deen Mohammed lecture for 15 years, 16 years actually we've been doing it. So we want to first of all thank you for your dedication and thank you for your presence. Now, I just wanted to, I was thinking today that many people might not necessarily understand why it's important for us to have this event. I don't know how many of you, and I'm looking at all of you, and I know most of you are students of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. I think may Allah have mercy upon you. But if you are not familiar with Imam W. Deen Mohammed, may Allah have mercy upon him and grant him the highest level in paradise. If you're not familiar with this man, I would encourage you to do some research. Go beyond Google. You hear what I say? Go beyond Google. Talk to the people that knew him. Talk to the people that sat and listened to him, and talk to the people who loved him. And I believe you will find a human being that has brought more to this country in regard to the religion of Al-Islam than anybody else that I know of, in terms of a clear picture of how Al-Islam is to be understood, how it is to be practiced, how it is to be appreciated, not just by Muslims, but by anyone that is living today, because you have been a beneficiary of this religion, whether you know it or not. Whether you know it or not, the reality is that this religion has contributed. And if there is a need today in the United States of America, it is a need for better human beings. Yeah. So, little background, Brother Imam, Makram El-Amin, and Brother Khalil, Abdullah, I knew them when they didn't have gray hair. Right? And they were like, you know, like he said, they were the young, promising leaders, and they are still, in my view, the young, promising leaders. Allahu Akbar. And they have accomplished so much, and it's beautiful to be able to have lived and seen the potential that was resonant in them manifest itself in terms of the expression of leadership that they have today. And I'm saying to you that y'all are in for a treat today. You might not know this, you might not know Brother Imam Makram El-Amin. However, I have a little bit of history, and this brother has been rich all his life. Rich, might not, I don't know what's in his bank account. I can't count the money. But he's been rich in knowledge, he's been rich in spirit, and he's been rich in love for this religion. And I'm saying to you, we thank Allah much for his presence. Let me give you a little bit about Brother Imam. He's the Imam of Masjid An-Nur in Minneapolis. Is it Minneapolis formerly? Yeah, Minneapolis, Minnesota. He is also the CEO, Chief Executive Officer. I know Imam Khalil said there are a lot of no titles. He got titles that he doesn't advertise his titles, but he don't wear them on his sleeves. But he's got more titles than what I can mention today, as a matter of fact. He is the CEO of El-Amin, which is an outreach social service agency that provides food, clothing, housing, as well as healthcare for the neighborhood in which, you know, his community resides. He is a certified professional life coach. Now, I had to read about what that meant, right? And after I read about it, I might have him be coaching me. He is a certified life coach, and he provides this kind of service to young men primarily. Am I right, Brother Imam? Primarily young men that basically are maybe coming out of incarceration, or maybe has some difficulty in terms of trials in their life. And he's giving them the kind of advice, nasiha, the kind of advice that we need in order for us to put our lives in order and to put our life, inshallah, on the path that is going to be progressive and productive, inshallah. So he is a certified life coach. Some of the things that he's accomplished in terms of, he is an American Muslim Civic Leadership Institute Fellow, right? And that is coming from the University of Southern California. Want me to say that again? USC, University of Southern California. And he's also a Bush Fellow. And Bush Fellow meaning that he has been recognized by the foundation. Am I right, Brother Imam? So, and these are just a few of the things that he's accomplished. His organization in terms of the Masjid is very diverse, right? And it is a very mixed kind of population of people. And Brother Imam Makram, El-Amin, has been not just an imam, but he is a brother. And as I heard our leader, Imam W, Deen Mohammed, said, you know, he said to me, he said, Brother Imam, you know, brothers should be friends. He said, unfortunately, not all brothers are friends, but they should be friends. And I'm grateful and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he's not only my brother, he's my friend. And I'm hoping and praying Allah that he will be your friend too. So please join me in welcoming warmly our dear beloved brother and friend, Imam Makram El-Amin. Takbir.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. My dear brothers and sisters, I greet you again in peace. Assalamu alaikum. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be here amongst you to recognize, to acknowledge, to celebrate, to discuss a person, a man, a leader who has impacted so many of us in so many ways that it's hard to quantify. It's really hard to quantify. And I think that as we consider our lives, I think, in our tradition, it said that, part of our final determination after our life is finished will be, what would they say about me? What would they say about you when you are gone? What would they say about you when you are gone? And we could say, and I'll speak for you, I'm going to take the audacity to speak for you, that our lives have been enriched due to Imam W. Our lives have been enriched, our lives have been fulfilled, our lives have been made whole in many ways with him not only guiding us and teaching us, but just caring about us. Even when he had to reprimand us, he did it, and we knew he loved us. We knew he loved us. This is a bit of an emotional time for me, just because I know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me. He's blessed me. And if you have any appreciation for any of the wonderful, eloquent words Imam Sharif or Imam Khalil have mentioned about me, if you have any, if that makes you see me in any good light, just know that we just fruit from a tree. We just fruit from a tree, And tonight, inshallah, there's so much I want to say with you, and so much that I was telling them, Khalil, I was struggling on putting together this exactly, I said, let me write something. I said, no, let me not write. Let me put on some time. And I had too many, and it come down. We went back and forth, And I said, I wanted to do something that was fitting, but then I said, I just really want to have a conversation. I really want to have a conversation with you and allow the energy, the synergy in the room to allow to guide us a little bit. But we do have some guiding comments, inshallah, and quotes and things from the Imam that I wanted to share. And I wanted to share them because many of you have heard them, and you can probably say them better than I. But he always had a way, and this speaks to who he was. He always had a way of speaking to us, even if the room was full, and it felt like he was only talking to us. So I'm going to give somewhat of a personal reflection on this too, but also where it led us to, inshallah. So if you all allow me just to have a little bit of a journey with us tonight, inshallah, and then we will open up and engage I do realize I'm in Princeton University, alhamdulillah, one of the finest. In fact, they tell me it's the #1 university in the country. That's what they tell me. Now, I didn't read it in the newspaper, I didn't read it in the magazine, I didn't read any of that, but, I have a good friend, Imam Khalil, and he just, every now and again, he just messages me like, you know me the #1. You know me #1. You know me, so I've been told Princeton is #1. That's what I've been told. But I also understand, and I want you to understand and appreciate too, that we know, when I say we, mean me, my peers, and others, we know that we represent the hopes and the aspirations and the goodwill and the sacrifice, as well as the dua. We are the products of dua. The people that prayed for us, they prayed. They didn't understand that we would be staying in Princeton one day or another, but they knew that our destiny was better than what we had presently in that moment. So they prayed for better days. They prayed that our children would go further than us. Right? Alhamdulillah, I'm happy to have my son with me. Alhamdulillah. He's recording my words. He's going to make them look nice and fancy. Alhamdulillah. And he's going to help me go further, inshallah. He's going to keep helping me. I couldn't do this without him. Alhamdulillah. But I remember so many things as a young person, and it just to give a little context. When Imam Mohammed became the leader of our community in 1975, so I was just about 5 years old. So I so appreciate what Imam Sharice called us the young man. I'm still with that. I'm okay with that. This here is just, this is stuff. This is that stuff, But I do feel young. I feel young in my spirit. I feel young, even though my knees hurt sometimes. I got a little extra, I got to go sleep a little earlier now, things like that. But I still, my spirit is still young. My spirit is still, and likewise, because I'm looking at you all, and your spirit is still young too. And I don't know all of you, but I feel this from you right now. I feel it from you. But I think that it's because we were connected to something that I believe was divinely inspired. I believe it was as the man would say, it was an intervention in our life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intervened in our life and brought us the Quran and brought us Muhammad in our own particular way, in our own special way. A way, by the way, that we don't shy away from. My parents joined the Nation of Islam in 1958. Independently of each other. Independently of each other. They joined, and I told you, I was born in 1970. So a dozen or more years before I was born, my parents had already committed themselves. And when you come into this thing, there's only one way in. It's only one way in, and through our genetic, through my genetic memory, I've come to love and know and appreciate, and I would hope that I would exemplify something that is pleasing to you all as well. I hope that whatever work we do, we'll share a little bit about our work, inshallah, but understand that what we have manifested in a tangible way was nurtured, it was cultivated, it was seasoned, it was orientated, it was guided, it was corrected through the leadership of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. So I wanted to begin with a couple of comments, inshallah, a couple of quotes. And some of which you will know, but I'll also give you my reflection upon them as well, as we go along, inshallah. You all know in the beginning of his leadership in the early years, there were some things, some phrases that were coined. And one of those such phrases is remake the world. Raise your hand if y'all remember remake the world. Allah Akbar. Now, remake the world, this is a level set for a moment, was really Imam Deen Mohammed, really his reflection on his vision for African Americans as well as Muslims to be proactive in shaping their destiny. To be proactive in shaping their destiny in the society and the world. But he was speaking to people who had really felt the brunt of the world. We felt the brunt of the world. We felt we got the short end of the stick of the world. But he had a wonderful way, and you all know as well as I do or better, he had a wonderful way of challenging us as a people. And he also, and was to think bigger than our situation, but he talked up to us. He talked up to us. He talked into a way that it wouldn't limit us to the present circumstances that we were. So he allowed us to imagine. He allowed us to dream. He allowed us to allow our creativity to come into this and allow us to just come in and interact in souls that we were being molded for. Souls that as we were being molded, and he gave us language that allows us to reach. Allows us to reach. You're going to have an idea of, if you have an image in your mind of a young child who's very hungry, and they're outside and they have let's call it an apple tree in their yard. And the apples, they're full bloom and they're ripe and they're ready to go. They're so delicious, and the child is hungry for that apple. So you have an idea, having an image in your mind of a child who is standing on their tippy toes, and they're reaching for the branch, and it's just out of their reach. It's just out of their reach. The language of Imam, in my view, and how I received this is a very personal reflection. I saw this as a hand taking hold of a branch and bringing it down just a little bit, and allowing my little hand, to grasp that apple and pluck it from that tree. Yeah. So when I talk to you about the effect that it's had upon my life, it's talking about he gave me access to myself. He gave me access to the fruit, the best parts of life. Coming as a Muslim, as a believer in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, believing in the Quran as a student, etc. And he framed it in the context because he wanted dignity for me, but also he wanted to energize me as well as us to think of ourselves in a bigger, wider context, so that our works can be bigger. So that our life can be, but I said our works can be also bigger. Man means mind. You know, again, at this time, I was a young child. So really, I didn't read this in the paper, nor did I remake the world in the paper. I got this at the dinner table. This was table talk. This was table talk for me. This was my parents breathing into me a language that they hope would take. My mother tells me how proud she is of it. And I accept that. I accept it from her because this was, again, I understand what she said, but I also understand, and I was so grateful that my parents had the courage to stay with a message that they didn't fully know where it would go. But through their faith and their convictions in Allah and God, that it would be a betterment of our life. it would change the trajectory of our life. So the time that man means mind was coming into my life, into my ethos, into my paradigm, into my thinking, this is the time, about the time when my father, who was a minister in the Nation of Islam, this is about the time when Imam Muhammad appointed my father and sent him to Minneapolis, where we are now. He sent us from Chicago to Minneapolis. So when I say it changed the trajectory of my life, it literally changed the trajectory of my life. And I remember my father, he said to me one time, he was trying to explain to me, because I was with all my cousins, all my family, everyone was in Chicago. I didn't want to be, I didn't want to go. In fact, as I recall, I feel kind of a fit, you know, I feel like he had to, you know, he had to get with me a little bit, you know. But in his counsel, he said to me, he said, I know you don't understand this. I know you don't understand all of this. I don't expect you to. But he said to me, he said, this is going to be good for us. He said, this is going to be good for us. So when I say I appreciate my parents, I appreciate their courage. A lot of times, you know, it was, when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was made the hijrah to Medina, you know, when we think about what the ask was to leave all that you know. In some cases, your family ties, your business ties, your salary, your reputation. You know, in some geographical areas, depending on how you all are from, you know, the Newark area, so you got roots there. You got roots there, so people know you. So you got a certain social capital there that other people won't have. Well, the same was true then, but in that moment, the ask was, leave all that you know and go somewhere that you don't know out of faith that it will be better. So we made our own hijrah of sorts from Chicago to Minneapolis. But in this message, the undergird of this message, in Islam, Imam will say, quote, in Islam, we focus on the development of the mind, not just the body. Allah created us thinking beings to contemplate and to reflect. This is the true essence of man, or and hence human, to be the mind. To be the mind. So here's a young child that I'm being nurtured. I mean, you have to think. You have to think. He said, I would be frustrated. My father would come back, he would say, just think about it. Think your way through the issue. Think through the problem. And we were seasoned by this, about thinking ourselves out of bad situations into a better situation. And it was such a powerful tool, Imam mentioned about life coaching. You know, life coaching is really trying to help people contextualize the situation. It's about reminding them who they are. I'm not giving them anything as much as I'm reminding them who they are. I'm reminding them who they were made to be. I'm reminding them who their destiny is, right? And this comes for me from a sacred tradition that we got from the experience in our community of the men talking up to us. They're speaking up to us, making us reach, making us experience, making us imagine, and making us do it with boldness and conviction. So he said, man means mind. Words make people. Words make people. I mean, again, another one of these phrases that was coined by El-Amin, Deen Mohammed. And I remember, like he said, a word is anything that sends a message to your mind. And he would say to us that we need to have a diet for our minds like we have a diet for our bodies. Like we have to be guarding of that. Now, how true is that for us today? With so much misinformation. So many just lies and deceit. And sometimes you can take a position, you can be upset about something that's not even true. Or you can be supportive of something that has no basis. But he also talked about the power of words and the power of language and how it shapes us, how it builds our mindsets. It becomes a foundation of our thought process. And through this language, through our engagement, our tutorials that we would get from the Imam, he helped us to have a better sense of self. A better sense of self. And he taught us to use better language. He taught us to prefer better language. He said, what we speak into existence becomes reality. Our language gives us form to our concepts, and we must be mindful that what we say can build and destroy. It can build and it can destroy. So very early on, I came to the notion that I wanted to build something. I wanted to be a part of something. I saw my parents struggle. I saw us go from one small place to a little improved place. It was still a little bigger than the place that we had before. And then we actually went to another little place before. So I saw a steady stream of progress. And in my mind and my heart, I said that one day I'm going to make a contribution to this. Because I see it being modeled before me. I see that not having the resource was not an excuse for me not to do the work. I see that model for me. That was the message that was sent to my mind. And it still sticks with me today. And inshallah ta'ala, through the works and what we established, it will live on. It will live on. If we just sit with this idea of what will they say about us when we are gone? I want you to contemplate this message. Contemplate this question. This is something that believers should think about often. What will they say? 100 years from now, when they look back at this institution and what it has done and what it has meant, what will they say? When they look back at the community, the man, one Deen Mohammed, what will they say? What will they say? We have the ability right now to shape what is said 100 years from now. If we would just accept the challenge. If we would just do that. The man would say to us that real freedom starts with the freedom for intelligent interests. Not for the ignorant interests. Freedom should elevate us, lead us to a betterment of the human life and our surroundings. This is what freedom looks like. So you know if you're free, if your circumstances elevate. Because that's the telltale. You can say you're free, you can think you're free, but if my situation is not improving, if I'm not improving or adding value to the situation, then I'm not as free as I think. I'm not as free as I think. So really this idea, again, he's talking us up. And we're considering in our minds that if I truly want to be free, then I have to accept responsibility. I have to accept responsibility. So a Muslim must understand that they have to take responsibility not only for themselves first, but for their families, for their community, for their neighborhoods, for the businesses, for what they produce. We have to take responsibility. And the more we take responsibility, the freer we are. So this is not a situation that I am professing to you how free I am. Those who know, we just look and see how much responsibility there is. And then we know how free we are. Freedom in Islam means freedom to pursue excellence in our relationship to God while respecting the freedoms of others. We don't have any idea of freedom without limits. We accept limits in our freedom. You know what freedom without limits amounts to? Rebellion. Freedom without limits results to rebellion. So I accept no limits on my freedom. I do what I want when I want. A message that the world is very popular giving to us. We accept to have a limited freedom to improve our relationship to God. Imam said to us at one point in time, he said to us, and he said there's a group of imams, and he was speaking to us and having a training session. Alhamdulillah, dear sister ladies here. Assalamu alaikum. No problem, no problem. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Thank Allah for you getting here safely. Alhamdulillah. But then Muslims, the Imam, he taught us through language like this to say that not only was freedom important to us, and we had to do it, but our freedom was something that we wanted to improve our relationship to Allah with. So this idea, this is to say, and he said to a group of Imams, he said, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said he needed a situation in which he was accountable to no one except Allah. He wanted to break all the ties. He wanted to didn't have things that were hindering him or encumbering his growth and his advancement. He wanted to be free to serve Allah. So this is one of the pictures that we get in Medina. This is one of the pictures that we get when he had the ability to have the agency to establish life on his own, under God. It was that level of freedom. Freedom as a divine right. Many times we will be quote the preamble to the Constitution. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal, right? Endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. And he would emphasize that inalienable means they can't be taken away. They were given by God and they cannot be taken away. And he said this is so compatible with our tradition that we don't see any room, no need to even change the we can take that language. The God put in, we are inheritors of excellence, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put that to us. So everything that we touch, everything that we influence, everything that we come into contact with, we should be motivated to make it more excellent. So it doesn't matter to me if you're a business person, entrepreneur. Doesn't matter if you are educated. Doesn't matter if you're a carpenter. It doesn't matter if you're a content creator. It doesn't matter if you are a producer of movies. It doesn't matter if you are a lecturer, a teacher at a prestigious institution like we're in right now. Whatever you are endeavoring to do, according to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you strive to perfect it. Islam honors human dignity by safeguarding individual freedoms and promoting the common good. That is our strategy. Our strategy is the common good. It's the common good. We don't have any ulterior motives. We are about the common good. We're about connecting with good people. We're about building upon good solid foundations. Much of which you all know, you all have done this before, alhamdulillah, but now as we grow into a new era, a new time, it has to be elevated. It has to go to another level now. It has to go to another level. Again, it's just like our Imam would do in a very loving way, he would just talk up to us. He would talk up to us. He says, as Muslims, our freedom is intertwined with our responsibility to our communities and our nation. And we have a responsibility to communities and to our nation. There are narratives out here because we're in this hot political season that has us with a different kind of relationship with the nation. But as Muslims, so regardless of an election coming and going, and I'm not here to tell you who to vote for and all of that. That's not part of my to-do. I'm referencing the time we're living in through wisdom that the man was giving to us. That if if you have to understand that this freedom and this justice that we're fighting for is intertwined with responsibility. Again, people who are not willing to take responsibility for themselves, for their community, for their families, they are not free. They're not free. So as we think about this idea of freedom, and this idea of what Islam comes to lift us up for, we are compelled to take responsibility to make our space better. To make our space better. Ask yourself, is your neighborhood better because of your presence? You want to have a political influence, business influence, improve your area. Don't wait for permission. God has given us permission. In fact, God has obligated us. He's obligated us to do what we're talking about in this moment. And Imam will tell us this in so many ways, in so many places, in so many different analogies, and a degree of straight talk as well. That we need to accept more responsibility for ourselves. And I think this is still true for us today. Again, when we are able, accepting responsibility means taking a conversation, taking language, and realizing that language into something tangible. It's no more acceptable for us to have a body of language and nothing to show. That is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's as if we are waiting for someone to give us permission still. Like, okay, it's okay now. Go build that housing. Go establish that institution. Go advance your education. Go get that high. Go do those things. Except we're waiting on permission when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already obligated us to do. Beautiful verse in the Quran about righteousness. But I took the liberty of presenting, just kind of breaking it into 3 parts. So bear with me, inshallah. Allah says in the Quran, righteousness is not turning your faces toward the east or the west. Rather, righteousness are those who believe in Allah, the last day, the angels, the books, and the prophets, who give in charity out of their cherished wealth to relatives, to orphans, to the poor, to the needy, to the traveler, to the beggars, and for the freeing of captives, and who establish prayer, pay alms, tax, and keep their pledges that they make. And keep the pledges that they make. And who are patient in times of suffering and adversity, and in the heat of the battle. It says, it is they who are the true in faith, the solid who the true. You know, this language here, they are true in faith, and they are mindful of Allah. When it says true in faith, it comes from a language that means sadaqah. I mean, sadaqah, it means it is those who have, sadaqah has the means, it means to be true, it means, but it also means to be, you know, sometimes when you're doing official business, when you're doing official business, you need to provide an original copy of your birth certificate. You ever had that happen before? So a photocopy would not do. You had to give them the one that had the seal on it. Sadaqah means those who are sealed and certified. Because why? Because they've done all of the prerequisites.
They've done all the prerequisites. And again, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us, this is what righteousness looks like. It don't look like us staying to ourselves or only worry about our concerns or playing small because out of fear or not wanting to upset someone else. They don't say playing small doesn't do anything but keep you small. He categorizes what righteousness is. And this is what Imam was telling us. We want to be a righteous community. We want to be a community of upright people. But this is what uprightness looks like. This is what it looks like. So if we look at this in terms of parts, we say this is those who believe, those who do, and those who are. It's faith, it's doing, and it's being. Yes, faith, doing, and being. So dear Muslims, my dear brothers and sisters who I love that we're spending some time together, you're allowing me to reflect on our leader and our teacher. I'm encouraging us, I'm inviting us to be those people. Let's be those people. Imam said to us that service is not just an act of charity, but it is a fulfillment of our duty to God and humanity. It's not just a nice thing. All those categories, the needy, the wayfarer, it's not just a nice thing. I'm presenting to you as a strategy for us to make advancement in our community is through service. There was a Christian woman who was a recipient of some of the work we were doing back in Minneapolis. And she said to me, I'm paraphrasing because it's been a little bit, but bear with me. She said to me, she was thanking me just so intensely and so intensely because she was a recipient of a food program that we were administering. She was just so, I'm thanking you. She thanked me so much that it made me feel uncomfortable. That's how much she was thanking me. I want you to understand, okay? And what she didn't know was that there was the fact that she was present and was in need allowed me to fulfill my duty to God. So really I had to say, I thank you. I had to tell her I thank you. Yes. And she went on and she said, I don't know what all you Muslims believe. And she said it just like that too. I don't know what all you Muslims believe. But when my family was hungry, you all made sure we had food. She said, when my son came home from prison, you all took him in and trained him up and got him working. Now he made more money legally than he ever made before. That's what she said. She said, I don't know what y'all all believe, but I know what y'all do. I know the impact that you all have in this community. And she said, if there's ever anything I can do for you. So we want the community to avail themselves, to serve them. Serve them in a way so that, as it's been said before many times, they said, I would rather see a sermon than hear a sermon any day. I'd rather see one. Show me. Show me that you believe with so much conviction as you say you do. Show me. There's nothing more powerful than that. There's nothing more powerful than that. Those who are committed to that can put mayors in office, can change the city council. The aldermen, when they run it, they got to come see you. I kid you not. I'm telling you what's happening. I'm telling you what's happening. Yes. Inshallah, the next vice president, he was at Masjid An-Nur, had spaghetti dinner for iftar. Yeah. What is our aim? Our aim is to be the best of people. Raise your hand if you want to be an average Muslim. Raise your hand if you want to be an average father. If you want to be an average mother. If you want to be an average anything, if that's your aim in life, just raise your hand. See, none of us in good conscience want to raise our hand. But like my teacher would tell me, she said to me, I turned in some homework. And admittedly, that homework was trash. And back then, you know, she used to take out the red marker, right? So when she called me up, she said, "Oh, Mr. El-Amin, I need to see you. It's class is over. I'm trying to get out of class because I knew it wasn't no good situation." And she said, "Mr. El-Amin," when she called my last name, I knew it was a situation. So she said, "I need to see you." So she brought me to the front of the class and she sat down and she had the paper that I had turned in, and it looked like the paper was bleeding. It had so much red on that paper. And she said to me, she asked me a simple question, and a question that by extension I'm asking you. She slid the paper to me across the desk and she said, "Is this the best that you can do?" I'm looking at the paper, bleeding, looking at her. She says, and then she further said, "If you're telling me this is the best you can do, I'll accept it." So I'm in a dilemma. I know good and well that wasn't my best. But she also created a space for me to save face. And she said, and I said, "No, that's not the best." She said, "Bring this back to me when you got your best." She loved me. She passed very recently, and I loved her too. Miss Cotman, may Allah be pleased with her efforts, inshallah, and grant her paradise. Yeah, she loved me. She cared about me, so she held me accountable. Imam Muhammad loved us. He loved us. And you know, sometimes he would have to take us to task. But if you cheating, if you holding out, if you playing, masquerading as being righteous Muslims, is that the best we can do? Is this the best we can do? See, sometimes we just gotta look ourselves in the face, look in the mirror, and just ask self, is this the best you can do? It says, Ibn Umar reported the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, prayers and peace be upon him. He said, "The most beloved people to Allah are those who are most beneficial to people. The most beloved deed to Allah is to make a Muslim happy, or to remove his trouble, or to forgive his debt, or to feed his hunger. That I walk with a brother regarding a need is more beloved to me than I seclude myself in the mosque in Medina for a month. Whoever swallows his anger, and Allah extra. Poverty is not synonymous with righteousness. This is another one of these phrases that we heard at the dinner table. In fact, we heard it so much that my father began to tell us, and he was pop quiz, what is Islam? And we had to respond, Islam is freedom, justice, and equality. Sometimes, you know, we had to do that before we ate, so sometimes I was a little impatient. So sometimes I said it real quick because I wanted to bite that chicken, you know. Just keep it 100 with you, you know, keep it all the way real with you. But the point is that that experience has left an impression upon me all these many years later. It's what we're working for. We're working for freedom. We want people to be free. Muhammad the Prophet, he says, with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came social justice, social equity, liberty for the intellect, not just for the select few, but liberty for the intellect of all people. We got to be about the business of freeing people. But you first start by freeing yourself. Just unhitch to that old idea that we're not enough. Because that's what happens. When we began talking about establishing an institution alongside of the Masjid, there were those who were afraid. They were afraid. We was pushing outside the comfort zone. And we hadn't done this before, but it was really, I come to find out, it was really a doubt of were we enough? Did we deserve? And we deserve this lofty aspiration when all the time the man was talking us up. All the time he was expanding, he was pushing us. He was pushing us to be more, all the time. So now sometimes the inactivity, they just contemplating, are we really enough? Are we really enough? And you know, in Islam, we said that everybody didn't move right away. Everybody didn't make the hijrah right away. There was a select few, those that we know in the history that accepted Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's invitation and moved out. And then there were those who, after things kind of settled, they came along. Everybody has their role. Everybody chooses their path. But the Quran mentions the foremost of the foremost. As-sabiqun, as-sabiqun. The foremost of the foremost. Those who were able to go out and chart a course when it wasn't paved roads. They had to navigate the terrain. It wasn't smooth. Those who came after, they had the benefit of smooth roads. We still need those with the spirit to navigate terrains. And in some cases, some of us have stepped out to do that and can share ways to make that terrain not as rigorous. The building of institutions and leaving a legacy. Imam Muhammad said to us, we must build institutions that reflect our Islamic values and not just American materialistic goals. The Muslim community should be at the forefront of creating good. I just want to put that in your hand for a minute. I'm just placing that in your hand. I just want you to hold that. The Muslim community should be at the forefront of creating good. Regardless of the area that you find yourself in, at the forefront of creating good. Your job is at the front of the line, on the top of the list. Honest business practices, and these should be rooted in fairness and integrity. Y'all remember that? So we think about the photo again for a moment, right? And I just want to make a couple observations. So the way this image is set up is he's asking, can we see it? So it's something that's out there. Again, always talking up to us. Always talking up to us. But the establishment is under La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. So we are under the creed of Islam. So that's the header. But then you see the hands of our brothers. Brothers who had been, perhaps many had even left the inner city that they lived in. He said that many of our people don't go too far out of our own radius. But the Imam gave us an image of people reaching across the globe. He said you gotta be global citizens now. Global citizens. I just talked to my sister yesterday, alhamdulillah, she's in China. I kid you not, doing business. Trying to make a way. And I said, well, we talked, he said, this is what mom and daddy wanted for us. And by extension, she said, and we know what mom and daddy got from themselves. It was not to be fearful, but to be bold and courageous. And reach across the world, reach across the globe. Right? This is what this looks like. And then we see the farming for self, we see trucking companies, we're producing our own, we see establishments, we see businesses, we see institutions. Again, he said, we need institutions. Nothing is more important in my life right now, personally, nothing is more important than the establishment of institutions. I want something to live on after I die. I want something to live on after I die. I don't want the community, after I die, I don't want the community to have to start over from scratch. That means I failed. That means I didn't do enough. We don't want that. My son and his son should be able to benefit from my work and take it to another level. Imam Muhammad said to us, he said, civilized societies. He said, civilized societies never leave their futures to chance. Civilized societies don't leave their futures. We just don't see what happens. We just don't see what happens. We just playing it by ear, just trying to see what happens. He said, civilized communities don't do that. So what does that mean, tangible for us? So all of what we presented to you so far, and I'm wrapping up, I see my time. All of what we're saying has really primed us for the tangible manifestation of our work in Minneapolis that I wanted just to share with you. So back in 2010, we created what's called El-Amin. El-Amin, as you know from the 107th chapter of the Quran, translates loosely as the neighborly needs. Neighborly needs. And we debated, just a little side note, we debated, well, maybe we should call it neighborly needs. I said, no, we will call it El-Amin. Because every time they say, what is that? We get a chance to tell them about who we are. And you know what they did? They asked us, what is that? And we got a chance to tell them who we are. But now, more than tell them, now we can show them. But I want to show you this, just what we committed to as a vision. To become a leader, a leading service provider, and thought leader on issues surrounding poverty and oppression in the Twin Cities metropolitan communities beyond. We want to be the leader. We're starting out, we're young, we're small, but we have a vision to be the leader. Why? Because Imam always taught us that. Our mission is to alleviate poverty and oppression within Black and communities of color in North Minneapolis, our city, our space, and surrounding areas through direct service and advocacy. And our hashtag is, and we put on all of our gear and everything else, is living our faith out loud. So what are you trying to do? What are you aiming at? We want to live our faith out loud. We want you to experience a Muslim. Not just know one. I want you to experience Islam. Not just know the Muslims up the street. That's not enough. So our work is in 6 primary areas. Food service. And when I mentioned to you about strategy for sustainability, this is what I'm speaking of right now. So we have, alhamdulillah, halal meals on wheels. We serve 158 seniors every single week. It's an operation, 7 meals a day, it's an operation. Summer food feeding children that are out of school, after school programming, etc. We have second chance housing. We have 30 beds of transitional housing. And we support individuals, men and women, coming back from institutions, whether it's corrections, whether it's having suffered from substance abuse disorders, experiencing long-term homelessness. Part of what the Imam says is that Islam comes to remove misery from society. So this is just assuming the position. We're just assuming the position. Employment services. Teach work readiness. People have been out of the workforce for a long time. We help get them back in the workforce. Training, the licensing, certifications, whether it's CDL, or IT, or boilers license, or food service, whatever it may be. But we're helping people get family sustainable wages. Family sustainable wages. You know, many times we talk about affordable housing. Affordable housing translates in this space as a person who lives but gets a portion of their living expense from a government entity. And that's what, quote, makes it affordable, right? We're shifting the paradigm on this. We're saying affordable means that which I can pay for. So we're trying to help people afford their lives through family sustainable wages. We have the Sahaba Mentoring Project. Sahaba, we companions, we walk alongside of young people, youth and young adults, who need help, who need guidance, who are lost, who are violent, who are misguided, who don't have the support system. So we lean into a space of need. You ask yourself as a community, how can we add value? If you have value, if you add value, you will never want for resources. Add value. Peer recovery services, that's us supporting those with substance abuse disorders. Help them walk that path. The opioid addiction is rampant. Again, we step into spaces and places that where the rubber meets the road. And lastly, we have what's called, we're a 2-gen organization. So just simply put, we have multi-generations, we deal with the whole family. We have a whole family approach. Why am I sharing this with you? I'm sharing this with you because this is the tangible manifestation of what has evolved over time from remake the world. Man means mind. Words make people. This is the evolution of this. This is what it looks like on this side. It was thoughts. It was thought leadership on that side. It's tangible on this side. So if you appreciate anything that you see here, then you should appreciate Imam W, Deen Mohammed even more. This is our team, or part of it. We have 32 individuals that touch our work every week. Full-time, part-time, contracted, interns. This is our team. This is the everyday endeavor. This is a full-time, everyday endeavor. I bring this to you, my dear brothers and sisters, inshallah, because as I mentioned to you before, Khalil and I and our peer group, we represent the dua of our family, of our parents' generation. When I talk to my mother, and she says to me, and we sit and we talk about this, and she's on our board, by the way. And she talks to us, and she said, you know this is what we prayed for. You know this was the vision that we had. We didn't know how it would come together, but we prayed that it would come together. And she said, I'm so grateful. And this breaks me. She said, I'm so grateful that I got a chance to see it in my lifetime. It's an honor to serve you today. To be with you, to speak to you, and share. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that for whatever you perceive this to be, know that we're in this together. That we are a community. I said to you, Sharif, and I will say it to him publicly, whatever we have, we will share. So I wanted to conclude there. I think we have time for it, do we? Okay, inshallah.
Some time for Q&A. Then we also like to offer some time related to share.
Sure.
You all know the date today. It's October 30th. It's October 30th.
Allah.
We were intentional on trying to have this on this day so that we also be thinking about our event and also deliberating in our lives on this special day.
Alhamdulillah. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this was also my great-grandmother's birthday today. My mother's going to hear this at some point. She's going to say, you didn't say that. I'm sorry. I said it, Mom. I said it.
So we do want to recognize the hands that are up, wanting to ask questions. We'll share some remarks, and then we'll offer some opportunity as well for Layla. And we have a little bit of finger food and some vodka and some sweets for all of us to take as we go to the bus and get on our cars and back home. We want to be mindful of the time. I know that many of us have a train captain or in other places. So yes. Thank you so much.
Most of the time up here, we're back. It's in reference to somebody.
So, Makram comes from the root word that we know to be Kareem. Kareem. So, Linguistically, it would be, the one who is generous or noble, honorable, or honorable. So that's the base meaning of it. There's an extended meaning, but I think that would suffice, inshallah.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions? Any of my students have thoughts, reflections?
Alhamdulillah. We hope, you all made it drive up, inshallah, we made it worth our while, inshallah. But also, I want you to register that we're speaking from a place of love. We're speaking of a place of just wanting to see us advance. And sometimes we have to just see models, and sometimes we have to just step out. Sometimes we just got to just step out, A lot of things went wrong. We made a whole lot of mistakes. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful that He covers even our missteps. He covers our missteps. I know we made it because we went through them, but half of them I don't even remember because the lessons are so good on the other side. Alhamdulillah.
I just want to thank you for so ultimately sharing with us how the man does what Allah says in terms of what we should follow. And that is our akil, our intelligence, or traditionalism. I think you so eloquently touched upon that this evening in terms of the presentation of the Allah word.
Praises for Allah. Yes.
But I just want to thank you also. I was just sitting in my heart was smiling. Because I lived through all that. And it just really touched my heart to me, and especially because I've been mourning Okefeji from the,
Yes, I do. Yes, I know, yes.
brother from
Yes.
Association Brothers here.
Alhamdulillah.
And it just inspired me because I've been working with Dr. Deen and some of the other people from the committee the M put us on back in 2004. And I'm about to embark on that. We've got to get some more money to open that school in Queens. And this is just an inspiration to go forward.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I think, first of all things is possible with Allah. All things are possible. I think that, we're obligated to bring our best minds together and to do what others do and to replicate and scale. So we should be able to communicate with each other, the trials and tribulations that we have, but also deliver what has worked in terms of the best practice, inshallah. And I think that this is what we owe each other. I'm not doing you a favor. I owe you this. So inshallah ta'ala, we will talk more, inshallah ta'ala, but there's a pathway. But let me say, and sometimes it doesn't come in the form that we are thinking. So just be open. If you open, then there's nothing that we can't do. There's nothing we can't do. Wa alaikum assalam. Yeah. Yes. Yes. There's a movie. It's called A Few Good Men. You ever hear that? All you need is a few good people. That's all you need. A few good people, resourceful people, knowledgeable people, people who understand the mission, and people who can follow leadership. If we're able to do that, then you can put together a plan and execute on it. And what happened, how we solved the issue is that, sometimes you have to leave people where they are, but those few people have to step out. And just like the time of the hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they started getting traction and the community started to coalesce and things began to grow, they started to see the benefits of that, you couldn't keep them from coming. So that's what has happened. That's what has happened. And whether they came first, that's between them and Allah. But we're too busy in the work. But our religion does say in the Quran, correct me if I'm wrong, he said, but for those who came out of faith, who stepped out first, he said, you owe a greater obligation to them. Right? For those who moved when there was nothing tangible. Right? Those are special people. But they're in the room today. I sense them. I sense them. Absolutely.
And that model, I hope that you can create others
The short answer is yes, we are. And when you think about El-Amin is no different than, it's on the model of Catholic charities, or Lutheran social services, or Jewish family services. You know their motivation is in their name. But how they show up, they serve who needs to be served. Well, that's our stuff. It is a how to do, but I'm only saying that there's a precedence has already been set. And there's like a rubric that's been set. And if we are diligent enough and patient enough, we can get there. And yes, we will give you everything that we have, inshallah.
My second question is, I would tell you
Yes, yes, absolutely. I accept your challenge. I accept your challenge.
So part of our physicality here at Princeton is that we have resources. So we are encouraging people. So when Makram and myself and the region, Safi Rod and so many of our friends that we're in conversation with that are doing amazing similar work.
Yep.
There's opportunities for us to bring that to this space as well, provide our hands to the region from there.
Yes, there are others of us. We're not just a lone ranger. We're not that. I'm talking from our community, making contributions in major ways. You may not readily know them off the top, but I'm telling you that we have a working group that do these things in various cities across the country, right? So that's there. Let me just say one more thing, inshallah, and then we'll give time for our sisters, inshallah. There was and it's not the beginning of the joke, right? So there was a Christian leader at El-Amin. And I think they were traveling, maybe on an airplane. And the Imam was saying to the Catholic leaders, and he said, you all experienced lots of discrimination in this country, historically. And he said, yes, we did. He said, what was your strategy? What did you do? What was your strategy? So he said, in short, he said they wouldn't allow our children to go to the school. They kept our children out of school. So we created our own schools. He said, They wouldn't allow us to get health care at the hospital. So we established our own hospital, St. this and St. that. Right? They said we couldn't get our needs met, our family's needs met, so we established cafeterias. He said we couldn't get a fair shake under the law. He said now the majority in the Supreme Court are Catholics. They made themselves inseparable from the American ethos. You can't even think about America without thinking about them. Our president has already been set. It's already been set. It's not even like what we're going to do. It's not what to do. We have the will to do. It's not what to do. It's will to do. And an organized plan draws resources. So it's not even about the money. It's not even about the money. I just want to leave you with that, inshallah.
We want to invite our beloved Sister Deen Mohammed to come and share. I mentioned that, of course, we know she's the daughter of Imam W, Deen Mohammed, but also in her own right has really charted her own path toward peacemaking and interfaith dialogue and community building, and is quite an artist and poet in her own right. And so we're honored to have her on this day as we celebrate and honor her father, to honor her as well. And so we're so happy to have her join us.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم. I seek refuge with Allah from the rejected enemy. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. And I'm usually loud, right? I gotta get it together. Peace be unto everyone. That's good evening. Assalamu alaikum. So a lot of stuff is going on with me right now, you all, and I'm feeling real good because I just about know everybody here. So I feel real comfortable. But I'm a little tired. But I have to be very honest that the last 16 years, I think it is, since my father, my daddy, Imam W, Deen Mohammed, our leader, transition. I think he prepared me for his transition, and a few months before he passed, he talked to me about his experience when his grandfather passed. And he said that he begged Allah to take him too. And he said, some stuff you never get over. I'm not over it. And today is his birthday, and usually I'm not in a public space on this day. And so it's difficult. I started not to come. That's not why I was late though. But this morning I was like, I'm not going. And then I said, no, you gotta go, Layla. Because from being a little girl, like 5, 6, 7, my father taught me that this work is more important than our personal lives. And I'm holding fast to that, but it's getting a little hard. But I'm here, and I'm so grateful that all of you are here. I'm very grateful for the planners. Congratulations on 15 years. We thank Allah for this prestigious institution that has welcomed us over these 15 years. And I have 2 things that I said I wanted to say. But I'm going to add a third. So I'm going to start with the first that I didn't plan to say until I just thought about it, because I was looking at my brother. So Saturday, Sister Jones' husband, Brother Mackie, and myself and some others were in Plainfield, and we had an event around the relationship between the Folklore movement and Imam W. Deen Mohammed's association. And of course, we thought about Imam W. Deen Mohammed, but I'm specifically mentioning it because of Lady Kiara. If you don't know who Kiara Lubick is, you should Google her. She's amazing. She was amazing. And I speak in the past tense when we talk about people, but Allah says, and I'm not quoting specific, but Allah says, and y'all correct me, that the believer or the Muslim doesn't die. And I know for a fact, you can think I'm crazy if you want, but I know my mother and father are with me. So Lady Kiara is a wonderful woman. Read about her. She started at the age of 15 and she did amazing work. And her followers are still here working. And we were there with them together in Plainfield, New Jersey. Then on Thursday, we were with my brother here, Savas Orturk, and the many thousands, 5,000 plus from around the world, followers and grieving believers, but rejoicing believers because we know it's another life. And we knew that Imam Fatullah Gulen had been a servant and that he was a follower of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I personally, from knowing them the last 7-8 years and traveling with them around the world, sleeping in their homes, I will tell you, their community mirrors ours, we mirror theirs, and only because our leaders are followers of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we're grieving for that too. And then I'm here. And then I see my next pictures all on the screen. And so I'm trying to hold it together. Because I know I can't really say it, but Allah knows in my heart, it's okay if I go now. I don't even care, you know? Because Allah has blessed me to breathe and to live and to see so much and to be a part of so much. And as your mother said, I'm glad to see you. Because I saw even more than the vision. I was 15 years old, 50 years ago in February, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad transitioned. But I remember the models that we had. And then when he transitioned and my mother and father got to work, because I remember my father said one time, we were in our house in the basement, and I didn't even know what the heck he meant, but now I know. He said, I can't wait. I'm gonna set the things straight. And him and my mother, they took off in 1975, and they started setting it straight. And my mother, Allah tells us to reverence the ones that bore us. My mother transitioned last year. We buried her on my birthday, November 30th. She started, if not the first, but one of the first, 501c3's federal organization, Sister Clara Muhammad Memorial Educational Foundation. Allahu Akbar. She and other sisters, they never took money, they volunteered, they went into projects, cleaned up the projects, they sent women to school for higher education and trades. They ran a food pantry. It wasn't called that back then. They also had a resale store, and they did what you said. You were very smart. My mother used to go with Sister Camilla Hassan, another pioneer. They used to go what they called jumping, which was to the resale shops. And they used to go in an upper class neighborhood right outside of Chicago. And one of the shops that they went in, my mother started talking to the ladies that owned the place and ran the place, and they were Jewish women. She said, how did you do this? And they told her. My mother went home, talked to my father, said, we're gonna do this. And they did it. And the rest we could talk about forever. But I'm so happy to see that you understand we don't have to invent the wheel. We just got to do it. And I have a few streams of income. One of them during COVID was Mary Kay. And not for the makeup, but for the skincare, because I'm telling you, it's good skincare. But they taught me. The lady said, you don't have to do nothing but copy the cat. And it's the truth. Why are we wrecking our brain on how to do this? Islam came to enhance, to correct, to seal, but Allah never said the Christians and the Jews didn't get something right. So we just have to just do it, right? So that wasn't what I was gonna say. However, these are the two things. One, that we come from a light, and the light is Allah, the Nur. And we've seen a lot of lights, all the way from our ancestors in West Africa to all of the civil rights people, all of the Underground Railroad stuff, to the Nation of Islam, and to Imam Muhammad. And he's in that space and it wrecks my brain because I can't think that it was 50 years ago. It's unbelievable to me. But it's the truth. And it's now us. And I say us because, yes, we want the young people, but we are blessed to have 3 generations. I like when you said generational. We have people that are in their 20s and 30s, adults with good minds, good talents, good ideas. People that are in 40s, 50s, and 60s, another generation with the same. And then our seniors, and I'm gonna put my husband on the spot, Imam Shahid Abdullah, 82 years, can figure out anything on that computer because he puts his mind to it and he keep on, and then he gets it. We have 3 generations. What? We have no excuse. We have to do this. And I'm like your mother, I wanna see it. I want to see some more of that and some more of that, and I want to do it too. I want to be a part of it. And I've said many times to many people, some people let me in, but I'm saying again, I'm a worker. Let me work. Let me stand side by side with you. Let me work. Let me fill this place up because we can do that. Let me bring students here. We can do that. We shouldn't just talk to each other. It should be strangers in here. That was my second thing. I think that was the second thing. And the last thing is easy. So a personal thing is that my father's birthday one time came on the first Sunday. And I was his office manager. And I was like, Daddy, it's the birthday on first Sunday. Should I get a cake? And we gonna make dua and we serve cake. And he said, nope. And you saw my look, I was like, He said, we don't celebrate birthdays. So then I looked at him, and he knew me. So I ain't saying I'm just looking. And he said, yeah, we do in our family, but we're not celebrating. We're acknowledging the life that Allah has put us with. He said, we do that, but we can't really do that in a big way. So it lucked out because all of y'all seem to be my family up in here. But I chose to do what our family does. And one of the things that one family member set into practice and never stopped, and that was my mother. On her birthday, she gave gifts. And my father, what he did, he liked to eat, so we were gonna get some food. And he liked movies, we may go to the movies. I would cook him some eggplant parmesan or something like that, something he liked. But we bought gifts. I couldn't bring gifts to everybody in the really gift way. However, I could do this. My grandfather, my father's father, Deen Mohammed, and many people here know this, started a tradition at janazas to give away peppermints. And the peppermints were given so that you would eat it and remember the sweetness of that song. So I have peppermints in this box. And this is a gift to everybody in here. And I'm going to pass this box around. But I also believe in continuing the light and not taking away from the past, but adding to it and buying in and making it your own. So I have some kisses, some chocolate kisses, because Layla loves chocolate, and I know a whole lot of y'all love chocolate. And also because I just like the idea that I can give a kiss. I can give a kiss to anybody. And so take a kiss, take a peppermint, inshallah, and yes, you can just pass it around actually. And with that, I'm going to say the most important thing, and that is my father, my leader, my friend, my mentor, my teacher, and the most affectionate man I ever have known in my life. The man that my mother introduced me to, and I thank her. I ask that we pray for him and all of those that I've named other than him that have transitioned, and all of your immediate families, and anybody that we can think of that has transitioned, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make their time in the grave easy, give them light and space and rest, and oh Allah, please let them be accepted and welcomed into the paradise and live among the righteous. An-Nur. And to those of us that are alive here, I would like to say, don't be uncomfortable with sadness, but don't be uncomfortable with joy. And let's live and appreciate the fact that we have life and that we woke up today, and that inshallah we're going to go to sleep as Muslims and wake up tomorrow as Muslims, and that we're going to be able to have another opportunity to do the work to serve Allah. Thank you all so very much. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, I forgot. I'm gonna touch your heart. I forgot. I gotta share something with you all. This brother right here, he knew Imam Muhammad, because guess what he did every year? He sent him a big old basket to the office with Nabisco cookies in it. And I remember my father would be so happy. Yeah, I'm gonna tell everybody.
With that, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We want to again thank all of you for coming out tonight. We thank Allah much for giving us the opportunity, Brother Imam, to be here at Princeton University. I know this is 15, but we're looking for 1,500, inshallah. So we're looking for the future, and we hope and we pray that all of you will have a safe journey home. We want to also thank the staff, all of the support, all of the members of the Masjid who work so hard to bring us together. We know you came to Princeton University. We want the believers to know that Friday, Imam Makram is going to be at Masjid Wellington Deen, 19 Fenwick Street in Newark, New Jersey, for Salatul Jummah. Y'all caught the first part. Come to the second part on Friday, inshallah.
We were supposed to, because we wanted to do something for him, but he had a lot of stuff going on, but I told him Saturday something. Let me know one Saturday, Sunday, or whatever he's free. Come down, visit us.
Okay, I will.
Give him a good recognition of the center.
Oh, yeah, nice. Okay.
Not yet.
I wanted to speak to you. I have to make sure I speak. How are you?
Good.